Hey there! Today we're going to shed some light on a bright idea. What's in amplifiers? But before you start picturing light bulbs in your sound system, let's break it down in a way that's easy to understand and even a little illuminating. So grab your favourite pair of ears and let's dive into the world of amplifier wattage. Now you might be wondering, why should I care about what's in amplifiers? Well, stick around because we're about to turn up the volume on this topic and uncover some surprising facts that could make a big difference to your audio setup. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Let's embark on this audio adventure together and explore the power of what's in amplifiers. By the end of this video, you'll be a wattage wizard, ready to rock out with a perfect amplifier for your needs. So if you're ready to crank up the knowledge and fine-tune your audio experience, hit that subscribe button and join our community of sound enthusiasts. Let's make some noise and dive into the world of amplifier wattage together. There is a twist at the end that you need to see. Here we go! Did you see that last system? Well, we're going to look at that again. See the label? It says 2400 watts. Wow, that must be good. Well, it's not lying, but it is certainly not telling the truth. This is what you need to know. Watts are equal to amps times volts. And that's a fact. Amps times volts equals watts. Therefore, you've got to have a problem if you're going to try and run 2400 watts. You can do it in the UK. We can go up to 3000 watts. But in the USA, you can't. You can only go onto a 20 amp circuit. According to the regulations that I've looked up, in America, you're only allowed to run 80% of the current 110 volts. It can only give you 1760 watts. And that's the maximum you can have as a continuous load. How do they get 2400 watts out of that? Well, this could be a consequence. That isn't really likely to happen because they don't actually do it that way. We're going to uncover some myths and mysteries about what's in amplifiers. You see, there are some tall tales out there, like the belief that valve tube amplifiers are always louder just because they are tubes. But let's dive deeper into the world of amplifiers, power, and set the record straight. We're going to have to take one step back because there's a couple of things you need to know about watts. They are power, and it's the power to drive from the amplifier, not of the amplifier, but from the amplifier to the speakers. So you're giving out from the amplifier and the speakers are taken in. So therefore, this wattage of the speakers is important. Look at this little example. Family car, practical power for everyday use. Muscle car, fun power for thrilling performance. Armoured military car, vital power for extreme protection and capability. Luxury car, nice power for a smooth and comfortable ride. Similarly, loudspeakers require varying levels of power from amplifiers to deliver the desired sound quality and performance. Just like cars, the right balance of power is essential for optimum audio excellence. So first off, let's talk about the different types of watts you might hear about. RMS, peak to peak, and instantaneous watts. Think of these as different ways to measure how strong the amplifier is, kind of like how we measure the power of superheroes in comic books. RMS watts are like the superhero's steady strength. It shows us the average power that the amplifier can handle over time, giving us a good idea of its overall performance. It's a bit like knowing how strong Superman is on a regular day. Now, peak watts are like the superhero's maximum power in a single burst. It's the amplifier's wow moment when it flexes its muscles and shows off its peak strength. Imagine the Hulk smashing through the wall in one big burst of power. And lastly, instantaneous watts are like the superhero's quick burst of power in a split second. It's the amplifier's ability to deliver a sudden surge of energy when needed, like the Flash racing to rescue in the blink of an eye. Not all amps are created equal, and it's not just about the watts on paper. By understanding the different types of watts, you'll be able to see through the myths and make informed decisions when choosing the right amplifier for your audio adventures. Getting your speakers and your amplifiers to work together is a bit of a balancing act, and this is the best way of showing a balance. The boy on the left is the speakers and the boy on the right is the amplifier. And when they're evenly matched, there is no problem. But look what happens here. Now there's a misbalance, and the boy on the left is bigger than the boy on the right. That's okay. Now he's very much bigger than the boy on the right, but that's still okay. Because remember, the amplifier is the bully here. So if the little kid is smaller than the big kid, and the big kid is the speaker, and the little kid's the bully, then there's no problem. The thing is, if this amplifier does turn into a bully, then you get this a problem, and the speakers don't normally have a parachute. So what that means is just a little bit of fun there, but if you've got your speakers, they've got to be the right wattage and ohmage for your amplifier. If they are, then everything's fine. But if you've got an amplifier that's too big, then the speakers are going to get damaged if you turn it right up. If on the other hand the amplifier is too small, you may not be able to drive the speakers satisfactorily. But the thing is, if you've looked at Amazon, you will find that there are numbers all over the place which mean all different things. There's only one way of working out what the true wattage is, and that's to go for RMS. And the reason for that is because RMS is the equivalent in AC on a pure sine wave of what a DC would be. Do you remember that figure? The calculation we came up with amps times volts equals watts. So 1 volt AC RMS into 1 ohm will give you 1 amp, which will give you 1 watt. And that's the way it works. But you need to use the RMS figures. If you use peak figures, you get some really stupid figures. And that's how they get up to 2,400 watts. They work on some really weird things. Now, I did promise you a twist at the end, and I'll tell you about that shortly. This shows the problem. Look here, we've got 3 separate speakers, and we've got 3 ways of specifying them. These ones say speaker maximum output power 40 watts. Doesn't say whether it's each. Whereas the dead end says 65 watts each, and that's quite a good number. And this one proudly boasts 150 watts, and then when you look down there it says 2 times 75. So you really don't know what you're getting if you don't read the small print. Then we look at this fine amplifier here. It says it's 40 watts and 40 watts, and it's 4 into 16 ohms, and it proudly claims to be high quality. Let's do the math. 12 times 5 equals 60 watts. But they claim 40 plus 40, which equals 80, so something's not right here. 80 watts peak to peak equals 56 watts RMS. This one's proudly boasting to be 50 watts per channel, but it's got a 19 volt 4.7 amp power supply. So let's work out the maths on that. That works out at 90.06 watts. 100 watts peak to peak works out at roughly 87 watts RMS, so within spec. When I say within spec, what I mean is, if you are expecting RMS and you're reading those numbers, then you can convert it to RMS. But it's not really within spec because they're giving numbers that are bigger. They are making it sound better than it really is. And then you get onto this one. This is Cambridge Audio. And this one, have a look at this, see what's what. This is Cambridge Audio, and they proudly boast 80 watts per channel. It doesn't give you any more details there, but then they know their customers trust them. Then you look on here and it says that it's 80 watts RMS into 8 ohms. I had to go onto their website for that. And their total power consumption is 750 watts. So they've got plenty in hand. So that's that. But you remember I told you there was a really sort of a weird twist to this one. Well, this is it. This is a portable PA. And you can see here it's rated at around about 200 watts. But it's 200 watts RMS. But you can't really tell that because they're doing their normal thing. However, it could well be, and you can't use the power input as a guide because it's got a built-in battery. But you can then, if you want to, work out the charging time and how long and everything that way. That gets a bit more complicated. But the point being, if you've got a battery-operated device, it doesn't necessarily have to work to the mains specification. But that's the only really exception, unless you know different. Anyway, if you found that of interest, then like, subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you on another video. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.